Good Saturday morning. This is a wonderful text here. This is Saturday morning, a wonderful text. I love this text. First of all, Hosea. It's the same theme. God is calling us back to himself. The graciousness of God's mercy. Okay, but here I think I'll show you a parallel to it in Luke's gospel. Okay, it's the famous gospel. Okay, this one here is. He says, Jesus addressed this parable to those who were convinced of their own righteousness and despised everyone else. Two people went up in the temple to pray. One was a Pharisee and the other was a tax collector. The Pharisee took up his position and spoke this prayer to himself. Oh God, I thank you that I'm not like the rest of humanity, greedy, dishonest, adulterous, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and I pay tithes on all my income. The tax collector stood off at a distance, and he would not even raise his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast and prayed, "Oh God, be merciful to me, a sinner." I tell you, the latter went home justified, not the former. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and the one who humbles himself will be exalted. That's a powerful text, you know. I love that text. You know, here's the thing about the Pharisee. He was beyond the pale as being faithful. He was not a bad guy. He was the quintessential good guy in the story. He was a man who had paid twice. What does he say? What did he say? He paid tithe on his whole income. He didn't have to do that. And he would. What does he say? And he paid tithes on his whole income. He fasted twice a week. He went beyond the pale, and yet he was unjustified. And the guy in the back, the tax collector, was a really bad guy. He was a traitor, okay? He was a traitor. And yet, because he worked for the Romans, and yet he was the one because he admitted he was a traitor. He knew he was a sinner. And the route, say in Hosea and the prophets, is the recognition that we are betrayers. We have been unfaithful to our calling and our identity. And then is the beginning of wisdom. That is the beginning of redemption, is the recognition that we are sinful. If you think you're innocent, God help you. I've seen more families, and being honest about it, I've seen so many failing marriage, if not failed marriage, hurting because it was a failure to recognize the inadequacies of the love. It's a failure to say the prayer of the man, the tax collector, I'm sinful, help me. Make me wise, help me. Help me see my flaws, as opposed to saying, I don't know what's wrong with you, I know I'm okay. Remember that there was a thing about 50 years ago, I'm okay, you're okay. You start thinking like I'm okay, you're most likely going to screw up like Hogan's goat, okay? Why? Because there's a failure recognition. Yeah, you're okay, but you're also not okay. And it's the kicker is the not okay, that you recognize you're in need of redemption. Usually not from God, but from your partner in life, your spouse, your partners, your children. To recognize if you don't recognize your fallibility and your failings, there's very little hope that you can ever heal the wounds that you are not only have in yourself, but the wounds that you are creating. That's really the truth. The enemy of excellence is mediocrity. The enemy of virtue is not vice, is again mediocrity. It's not recognizing the need for virtue, the need for excellence, being satisfied. As one of the guys in the outfit in the order said, he was content to be a jerk. Okay, you're content to be a jerk. Would that you live by yourself in an island. But the fact is, if you're content to be a jerk, you're going to make life miserable for everybody who is with you in that situation, in that home, whatever it may be. The recognition, that guy in the back who says, I'm guilty, he's on the way to redemption. As good as that Pharisee is, and he is excellently good, he isn't good enough. What he forgot to say was, I am also guilty. I am not perfect. I am far from perfect. I do something well, but I am also deeply, profoundly flawed. And by not recognizing that flaw, he is not open to redemption. He's not open to redemption. And I think that is the truth. In the end, I think that is the truth. The way to redemption is the recognition of one's sinfulness. The way to wisdom is the recognition that you're ignorant. That's a genius of Socrates. He says, I know I am wise because I know I'm not. The guy who's a jerk says, yeah, I'm smarter than the other guy. Yeah, okay. You see? But he's the jerk because he's not wise. If he was wise, he would recognize that he's not wise, and that's the beginning of wisdom. If you think you're a saint, you're already damned. You're in trouble. It's better to say, no, I am a very sinful human being. I have not loved well. I have loved but not loved well. Help me. Help me love better. Help me see and love better. Help me. I am in need of redemption from the people I've loved and whom I love, okay? And from the God who loves me. Guide me into redemption. Guide me to be redeemed by helping me see that I am a flawed human being. I'm a sinful man, and that is the beginning of my wisdom. And that is the beginning of my pursuit of holiness, is the recognition that I am a sinful man in need of grace, just what the man says in the story here.